Welcome to the Heart of a Viking. This channel offers elementary art lessons taught by Mrs. Minto from the Cape Henlopen School District in Delaware. I look forward to virtually creating with you. There are new lessons posted weekly. Subscribe to the channel to make sure you don't miss a single one. So go grab your art supplies and your thinking caps and let's begin. Welcome back, artists! Do I have something fun in store for you? Today we are designing our own wanted posters. That's right, traveling back to the Wild Wild West and imagining that you are wanted for something. And what we're going to do today is a couple of step process. We're going to be making our self-portrait, so that'll be done first. We'll do that first, and then we'll cut out the self-portrait. We'll prepare this background paper to make it look old, and then we'll learn how to write wanted in the script or the font that resembles Old Western font. And then at the bottom, I'd like for you to think of something that you could be wanted for, but I'd like for it to be positive. So instead of saying, I'm wanted for robbing a bank, maybe you're wanted for being kind or friendly. Or maybe you're wanted for being kind to animals. Or maybe you're wanted for picking up litter when you're out on walks with your family. So I'd like you to be wanted for something, and then we're gonna put a price tag on that. I kept my reward at only $1,000. Let's get started with our self-portrait first, and then we'll move on to all this other stuff. All right, here we go. All right, so to get started, I need a plain piece of my white drawing paper, and I need to remember that anytime I'm drawing a portrait or a face like this, you always want to draw light, just in case you need to erase. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my oval shape very, very lightly. When I think I like how big it is, I want it to be about as big as my hand. That actually turned out really similar to my hand size. Good job. So I want it to be about as big as my hand, and I want it to be a little bit smaller at the bottom and a little wider at the top, because after all, your brains are bigger than your chin. So I'm going to go ahead and just make this a little wider at the top, while at the same time bringing the chin in just a little bit. So just altering this face just the tiniest bit. There we go. That looks pretty good. I'm going to be using a pencil eraser. I'm sorry, not my pencil eraser. I'm going to be using an extra eraser that I have here to do some of my erasing today. So if you have an extra eraser, you might want to grab that too. It just makes things a little bit faster. They erase a little cleaner as well. Okay, that looks pretty good. All right, so now we're moving on. There are lots of ways to learn how to draw a face. We're going to use some lines to help us to draw the face accurate if we possibly can. So the first thing I'm going to do is divide this shape that I drew in half. So I'm looking at the distance from my pencil to the top and my pencil to the bottom. That's pretty good. That's pretty much right in the center. So what I'm going to do is pick up my pencil. I kind of like mark the spot with my finger here and then make a line right where my pencil was sitting. And you can extend out a little bit past the face if you want, or you can keep it just in the face, up to you. Then I'm going to do the same thing but only on the lower half. So looking at just this lower half, halfway looks like it's right about here. And then same thing at the top. So looking at this line and the top of the face, halfway looks like it's right about here. Next, I'm going to start drawing the neck and the shoulder. So I'm moving from the top of the head down to the bottom here. Now the neck, I'm actually going to start right about where this line is. So I'm actually going to start drawing a little bit darker right here. And whenever I get to this line, I'm going to start removing myself from that line there and creating a neck that curves like this. So same thing over here. When I get to about here, create a neck that curves. That always looks so much better than just drawing lines here to make a neck. So making sure that it actually flows from the head, which it does. It supports your head. It needs to flow from the head. Then when you think you've drawn your neck long enough, some people have longer necks and some people shorter, you're going to go ahead and draw the shoulders. Hey, looking good so far. Now I'm going to move back to the top and I'm going to start on this line right here. That line controls a lot of things, so that's a great place to start. So I'm going to start by drawing my two eyes. Now, when I draw my eyes, I often refer to this shape as a lemon or a football because it has rounded top and bottom and a little bit pointy on the left and the right sides. So rounded top and bottom, and a little bit pointy on both sides. Now, I have a secret for you. This is a really cool secret. Check it out in the mirror after I say this. So I'm gonna measure how big I drew one of my eyes, make sure the other one's the same. Your eyes should match too. And the distance between the eyes should also match. Now, I don't have enough room here, so I drew my eyes a little too large. So I'm gonna go ahead and adjust these a little bit. And what I'm checking for is I'm checking to make sure the eyes are the same size as each other and that the distance between the eyes matches the size of the eyes. So let me play with mine for a few minutes and get them just right. Okay, I think I got it. And luckily I drew lightly, so I was able to very easily erase and just adjust the eyes and move them to where they needed to go. Make sure you are drawing lightly too. Okay, next, I'm going to erase the part of that straight line that's in the eyes. So, bye-bye straight line. Now I'm going to draw the iris. The iris is the pretty colored part of your eye. It's a nice ovally shape right in the center. We're gonna be looking straight forward. So it's gonna be right here in the center. And again, just compare them to each other and make sure that they are the same size. And then the pupil goes right in the center. The pupil is that little black dot in the center of your eye. And the cool thing about the pupil is it changes sizes. So if it's nice and big, that means you're in a dark space whenever this picture was drawn. If your pupils are smaller, that means you were in a brighter space. So you draw them the size you want them to be. So what I'm gonna try and do here is add my eyelid. So we've already drawn the eye shapes, but you actually have an eyelid that you can close and open. You can wink it and you can close them when you go to sleep. So I'm actually drawing my two eyelids here. And you can control how low you put these. If you're feeling super sleepy, maybe put them down a little lower. If you're feeling bright and wide awake, maybe open them up a little bit wider. Or if you know that your eyes sit with the lids a little lower, then draw it that way. So I'm making mine just kind of like normal, a little bit of the eyelid here, and then the eye down below. I also had to erase a little part of the iris that was in the lid because my eyelids are not see-through, so I had to erase a little bit of the iris there. Perfect. You can do the same thing at the bottom. Don't forget the bottom lid is a lot smaller than the top lid though, so I'm not making nearly as much space between my lines. These two lines are pretty close together, just a little distance between them. All right, super. All right, so the next thing I'm gonna add are eyelashes. Lashes come from the newest line that you just made at the top here. And lashes are short little lines that can make your picture look sort of feminine, especially if you press hard. Women tend to highlight their eyelashes by wearing makeup, like mascara on them. Which is why when we add eyelashes, it often makes your picture look feminine because you draw them with pencil, which is a pretty dark color. If you want them to look a little less feminine, maybe draw them a lot softer, maybe even a little shorter, depending on you and your lashes. So take a peek in the mirror, see if your lashes are long or short, and then decide if you want to draw them or if they're light or dark too, and if you want to draw them. I also drew lashes on the bottom lid as well. You can totally skip it if you feel like it makes it look too feminine. While you're at it and you're making little hairy lines, let's go ahead and add the eyebrows right above the eyes. I start by sketching them in with a sort of like a, I don't know, zigzaggy sort of fuzzy hairy looking line. And I normally follow the curve of the eye to draw the curve of the eyebrow, because that's how my face is. You can take a peek in the mirror and see how your eyebrows are. Some people's eyebrows are shorter and they're like really thin above the eyes. Some people's come in further towards the center. So take a peek in the mirror, see how your eyebrows are, and try to draw them similar to yours. Okay, that's looking really good. Next, I think I'm going to move to the nose. So the nose is gonna go right between the eyes, like right here on that line, and it's gonna stretch down, and where your nostrils are will end up just about at this line right about here. Not quite at the line, maybe just a little bit above it. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to draw the right edge of my nose. The right edge of my nose is gonna go right about here. If I were to draw the left edge of my nose, it'd go right here. So this is the bridge of your nose. It starts between your eyes, and I actually wear glasses, and my glasses sit right here at the top of my nose to help my eyes see better. So I'm drawing the bridge of my nose coming straight down. And when I get almost to the line here, I'm going to start a curve that leads over and comes to right about here. That's looking pretty good. All right, and I want my nose to be about as wide as my eyes. Maybe not quite as wide as my eye, but about as wide as my eye. I'm pretty close. I'm gonna go a little wider this way. And then again, look in the mirror. If you notice that your nose is wider, then adjust it. If you notice that you have a smaller nose, adjust it. Put those lines closer together. But I'm making what looks like an open staple to me. This reminds me of a staple holding pieces of paper together that was opened up. It has two curved lines on the side and put pretty straight at the bottom. And that straight line at the bottom should be really close to this line dividing the bottom half and half. Now I could leave it like that, but I want to go one step further, and I'm going to add the nostrils. So the nostrils, this can get kind of odd looking if you make the nostrils too large. You kind of look like a piggy. So instead of looking like a piggy, we're going to just draw two little nostrils right here as like little rainbow shapes, little arches, and then a little small U shape, an upside down arch right in the center here to connect them. Those nostrils are where the air and the lovely scents come up into your nose. This is the bridge of your nose. And then the other bridge of your nose would be on this side. And I don't normally draw both of them. I would normally just draw one because really this is going to be just a shadow. It's not actually going to be a hard line on your face. So it's just going to end up being a shadow. So I just really lightly sketch in those bridges. Okay, super. Let's move on to the mouth. All right, so the mouth is gonna go right below the line, and the mouth is gonna go something like this. Now let me tell you a secret before you draw yours. All right, so here's a secret, and you can check it out in the mirror to make sure I'm telling the truth, which I know I am. Your pupils, those two black dots on your eyes, if you were to draw a straight line coming down the face, that's how wide your mouth is. Now, that's if your mouth is resting. If you smile or frown or cry, your mouth will change. But if your mouth is just resting, then from your pupils straight down, that's how wide your mouth should be. Now, I have her mouth as a little bit of a curve, so I'm gonna make it just a little bit smaller than the pupils. So let me see, right about here seems good. So this person is smiling just a little bit. Now, the line that I drew is going to be the bottom edge of the mouth. I'm going to then draw the top edge. So I'm going to find where about the middle is. The middle is right about here. And the top edge is going to be a right side and a left side. Now let me tell you another little secret here. The deeper you make this dip in the middle, the more feminine it's going to look, because again, women tend to accent their lips with things like lipstick. So whenever we make these very puckery, it makes it look more feminine. If you want yours to look more masculine, you can flatten that out in the center. Don't make it so bumpy in the middle, and it'll look more masculine. In addition to the line at the top, we need another line very similar to that one right through the center. So now I actually have two lips that can open and close by putting that last line there, and now I have two lips that can open and close. All right, so I'm just gonna make some minor adjustments here. All right, super. And that little mouth should be just below that line that we made here. And then right below the mouth is your chin. And I'm just gonna make, kind of like how I did for the bridge of the nose, just a very small little curved arch here. That's gonna be for the chin. And I know that I don't have a very predominant chin. Mine's very, not very noticeable. So I'm making it even lighter by just gently rubbing the eraser on it. I'm not trying to erase that line. I'm just trying to make it lighter. Okay, super. All right, I'm getting excited. Okay, so now let's move on to the side of the face. On the side of the face, I need my ears. Now here's another cool trick. Look in the mirror to double check me. The top of the line right here that goes through the eyes, that line is actually the top of your ear in real life. Yep. And then this line that separates the nose and the mouth, right here, that is actually the bottom of the ear. So when I draw my ears, I draw them between those two lines, and they're perfect sized every time. So check it out in the mirror for yourself. See if the top of your ear ends up at the eye line, and see if the bottom of your ear ends up right below your nose, above your mouth. I bet it does. All right, and then when I draw my ears, I kind of draw that open staple kind of shape again. It has the two curved ends. Here's the lobe where my earrings go. Then this is the top part of my ear up here. Okay, so now I'm gonna take my eraser. I am done with the line that's separating the nose and the mouth and the line that's separating the eyes up here. So I'm gonna erase those two lines. All right. Fantastic. Okay, so let's move to the top of the head. Now we left that line there, and that line's actually going to be super helpful. In normal times, when we were just drawing self-portraits, that's where we'd start to draw our hair. And my short-haired friends, you would draw hair only in this space up here. This is your forehead, and then this is the top of your head. And you would draw a little bit of hair down on the sides, down to the ears. But in this picture, we're wearing a cowboy, cowgirl hat. So instead of drawing hair in that location, we're gonna draw a hat. So using that line as our guide for where we pull our hats down to, I'm just going to extend that line a little bit out to the two sides, and I'm gonna give it a little bit of a curve. And I'm gonna go pretty wide. Okay, so now, on this side here, on the right side, I'm going to take my line that I just made, curve it around. This is going to be the brim that comes out over and shields your eyes from the sun. Come around, and I'm starting to tip down diagonally, and I'm heading for this part right here. So I'm tipping down, heading over, and when I get there, I'm going to stop. So it's wide here, and it gets thinner as it comes across. Now bear with me. Next, I'm going to go from the side of the head, right where I ended, straight up for however tall your hat is. Same thing over here, right from kind of like the edge of the face, straight up for however tall your hat is. And then in the center, it's kind of like a letter M. So it reaches over and then it reaches over, kind of like a letter M stretching across here. Okay, and then this line out here we haven't done anything with. We're gonna do something similar to what we did over here, except we're not going all the way across. We're coming up, we're curving around, but this time as we come down, we just are gonna crash into the line of the hat and stop. This is the brim that's going around the back. So this is the brim that's coming around the front, shielding your eyes. This is the part that's going around the back. All right, a tiny bit of erasing. My hat is not see-through, so I have to get rid of my head that's inside of that hat. All right, super, okie dokie. So my very short-haired friends, we've taken care of you drawing most of your hair. If you are a very short-haired friend, you are just going to make a little bit of hair that sneaks out from under the hat right here. I'm drawing little short lines, and it's gonna go all the way down to the ear. So this is for my very short-haired friends. Just a little bit of hair sneaking out from under the hat here. And then it goes down to the ears, right like that. And honestly, that's it, done. Perfect. However, if you have longer hair, then you are gonna do the same thing. I have longer hair, so I'm still gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna sneak out from under the hat here, but instead of stopping at the ear, I'm gonna have these hairs go as long as I need them to. My hair goes down my back. So I'm gonna have my hair come to my shoulders, and my hair's curly, so I'm drawing sort of wavy lines. And I'm gonna go all the way down, and I'm gonna stop at my shoulders because I'm imagining that it's going behind my shoulders and down my back. So right to my shoulders and then down my back. I also have a lot of hair, so I'm going to add some extra hair out here, making my hair look wider. But I don't want it coming from this part of the hat. I want it coming from under the hat and then coming out. So I don't want it coming from the brim. That seems odd. I want it coming from under the hat, from my actual head, and then heading down. All right, artists, one last detail that we're all gonna do together. We're gonna move down now to the neck. And at the neck, I would like for us to put a bandana on. So not right here, not right where the shoulders start, but up just a little bit higher. I'm going to make a curved line all the way across. Then I'm going to move over the shoulder here a little bit and make a line that comes down, sort of straight diagonal, and then a matching one over here. And then right here in the crook of my neck, I'm going to make a knot, which is just basically an oval shape. and a line that comes out like this is the end that I tied a knot for my bandana, and then these are the ties at the end. Now this whole shape here is my bandana that's tied around my neck, and then this would be whatever color shirt I'm wearing. Okay, so we can basically stop here unless and except you would like to add some additional details that would help identify you. I wear glasses and my glasses are always on. I never take them off. I need them to see all the time. So I'm going to go ahead and add my glasses. They're kind of squarish in a way. I'm gonna add my glasses here. I have pretty thick lenses, they're black ones, so I'm just making these a little bit darker here, and I'll color in between those lines with my black. All right, and any other details that identify you? I always wear earrings. So today I'm wearing kind of like loopy earrings, so I'm gonna go ahead and draw my earrings in. If you always wear a necklace, or if you have a identifying freckle or a little mark on your face, you can add that. I actually have a nose piercing, which a lot of you don't know. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and draw my nose piercing on here. I want people to identify me because whatever I'm wanted for, it's something good. So I want people to be able to identify me. All right, artists, that's it. So we're gonna stop right here with the drawing for me, and I'm gonna move on to coloring next. All right, artists, so I almost always start with the face. So I went to my color pencils and I found many different skin colors. None of these match me perfectly, none of them. So what I'm gonna do is find the one I think is kind of the best. So I'm gonna go with this guy right here. I think he's kind of the best. And I'm going to use the side of it, not the point of it, to get started with. And I'm going to very, very gently, because I can always make it darker, very gently color the surface of my face, neck, ears, and lips. So I'm gonna do the entire surface here, except for my eyes, basically. Don't forget the eyelids. Not the eyeball itself, the part that's white, or the part that's colored, the iris, but definitely the lids that we added. Color those. We can always fix up the lashes if they get muddled or they don't look quite as nice. Okay, so now I'm gonna go back with the same pencil, but I'm gonna use the tip and the side still, but the tip a little bit more to create some shadows, because I wanna make this look a little bit more 3D. So I'm gonna start wherever I have a pencil line, it's gonna be a little bit darker. Not a ton darker, but a little darker. Every pencil line. Okay, next I'm gonna add a little bit, now I'm using the side here. I'm gonna use a little bit of the side to make a shadow under the hat, because the hat the brim would be sticking out over my face, and the light generally comes from above and will be creating a shadow on my face. So making it just a little darker by coloring a little heavier under the brim of the hat. Okay, now I'm gonna do that same thing on this edge of my nose where I drew the line a little darker. Notice I tipped my paper because I wanted to be able to color up and down, and by not tipping my paper would make my lines look a little funky. So I tipped my paper, and you can definitely do the same. Okay, same thing a little bit under the nose, but you wanna be careful under the nose because we don't wanna make it look like there are things coming out of your nose. So you want it to be a little shadowy under there, but we don't want it to look like there are, weird things dripping out of your nose. I'm gonna do the same thing under my bottom lip here because my mouth does stick off my face a little bit, so it would be creating a bit of a shadow. And remember that quiet line I drew under here for my chin? I'm gonna go ahead and just make it a little bit darker where that line was too. A little shadow there. Okay, and I wanna do that a little bit under my eyes, but again, you don't wanna do it too much under your eyes because then it will look like somebody has a black eye, and we don't wanna make it look like you have bruising on your face. We just want it to make it look like it has a couple of shadows. Okay, then I'm gonna finally follow up with a little bit on the edges of the face, something like that, and a little bit under the chin because your chin sticks out pretty far from your neck, so it would definitely cast a shadow, just like the brim of the hat casts a shadow on the top of your face, on the forehead. right, that looks pretty good. I really am liking how that's looking. All right, so now I'm gonna switch over and I'm gonna grab a red or a pink. I just happen to have a red right here. And very, very softly on top of the lips, I'm going to add just a little tiny hint of color. If I press too hard at all, it's going to make my lips look like clown lips, like I'm wearing bright red or pink lipstick, and it's gonna be kind of crazy. So extremely soft. That looks really good. And if you feel like you need some shadowing in there, which I kind of feel like I do, I'm gonna go back to my skin color I was using, not my red, and add just a little bit more of the skin color on top. That looks so good. That's the secret. You've got to use the skin color on the lips with a teeny bit of color. That looks really good. All right, so the eyes are kind of looking creepy to me, so I'm gonna move on to the eyes. So my eyes are kind of a greenish brown color, so I'm gonna go ahead and use some brown and some green. I noticed that my eyes have kind of like a spiral around them of color, so instead of just coloring them in, I'm actually going around the pupil. All right, artists, so I think I'm all done with the coloring steps, so I'm gonna move on to the cutting out. Okay, so I have a large sheet of kind of tan-ish paper here that looks old, and it's perfect for making a background for my portrait. So I'm gonna put my portrait aside for a second, and I'm going to take this paper and crumble it up. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and lay this on top. That looks really good. Now I'm going to decide if I want it to remain rectangular or if I want to pull out some of these edges to make it look old and ripped. So I'm gonna go ahead and take my nibbly fingers here and very gently rip out some little pieces to make it look old and crumbly. You decide if you wanna do this or not. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and glue my portrait on. You can use whatever kind of glue you have. I'm gonna use a glue stick, but Elmer's glue will work fine too, whatever you have available. And just make sure you put enough right at the edges. The middle is important as well, but the edges on this one are more important. Okay, then I'm gonna go ahead and flip it over and place it in the center. I want room above for the wanted part, and I want room at the bottom to write what I'm wanted for. So center that up, just make sure it's nice and straight. And then you can do what I do, which is my favorite thing to make sure that my portrait is glued nice and snug on my paper. Flip it over and rub the back. Oh my gosh, that looks so good. So you want to investigate the edges, make sure everything is done and nothing is peeling off. That looks really good. Okay, next, I'm going to look up Western fonts. So WESTERN-FONTS. And I'm going to find some fonts that I could possibly use so I could write the word wanted at the top. So I'm going to use this one. You, of course, can pre-write this with a pencil, which is a good idea if you've never done it before. I'm using the side of my marker to get a nice wide line. Okay, that looks really good. Then I'm gonna move to the bottom and write what I'm wanted for. All right, artists, so that is it. Your wanted poster is totally done, ready to be hung. Hopefully somebody captures you and gets that awesome reward. I hope you had a great time creating your wanted poster with me today, and I'll see you back here next time at the Heart of a Viking. HOB artists, don't forget to hop on over to Art Sonia to upload a photograph of your piece of artwork to your art portfolio. I can't wait to see it.